let's talk about the boys of girls and why you guys got so mad when I said that I hated them. So, in case you missed it, in my last post, I talked about Beach House, one of my favorite episodes of Girls. And as an aside, I was like, oh, I don't really like Ray. I find him intolerable. I think he's a loser. And I got like 50 comments of people being like, why do you hate Ray? Why do you hate Ray? And I was like, this is exactly the point. I watched the show for the four girls, right? I love all of them in different amounts, but I do love all of them. And very interesting to me that when we are talking about a show about four young women coming into their own and like making mistakes and being flops and like discovering themselves in their 20s in New York, so many people are like, my favorite characters are Ray and Elijah. And I'm like, why? Like, why are we talking about these men when the story is not about them? Obviously, Ray is a pretty prominent character throughout the entire series. At the beginning, he is Charlie's weird older friend. He is like in his 30s when everyone else is 22 to 23 or 24. They're young. They're very young. They're like a couple of years out of school. Ray is much older. He starts dating Shoshana, which is when I was like, well, he's kind of a loser, right? His entire arc is about like becoming his own person and like embodying himself, right? He becomes the manager of his own chain of like coffee shops and he runs for like city council. At the same time, I am not an age gap warrior, but I was like, why is this 33-year-old man dating this like 20-year-old girl? And also just like the fact that he did not have any ambition, the fact that he wasn't interested in anything outside of like hating himself, right? Obviously, that was the arc. I'm not dumb. I understand the way that character arcs work, but I just didn't like him. And I especially didn't like how much narrative focus he took up in the series after, right? I found it repulsive that he started hooking up with Marnie and they had like a will they or won't they for 2 entire seasons. I find his entire arc after the Shoshana of it all, early season 3, like completely useless to me. I just am not interested in his self-actualization, right? I feel like his arc could have been given to Shoshana, who had nothing to do in the last season of the show. Similarly, when I was watching the Iowa arc, which I really, really love, and I've talked about on here before, I was like, why is Elijah with Hannah in Iowa when it could have been Jessa, right? Their relationship is already like fractured and faltering, but like that could have been interesting if the two of them were like forced to interact in Iowa instead of giving Elijah more lines and more opportunities, right? Like obviously he is a chaos agent, he is a grenade, he is someone who's like there to like make the show funny and be the comic relief and be the like sassy gay guy, which I have my own issues with. But at the same time, it is extremely irritating that in the last 2 seasons of the show, he has like triple the screen time that both Jessa and Shoshana do, right? In seasons 5 and season 6, Jessa sort of disappears. Shoshana completely disappears in season 6, and we're just like stuck with Elijah. So it is very difficult to watch the show if you are not a fan of Ray or Elijah because these male characters get so much prominence over the girls. And not to quote Beanie Feldstein, but like it is the titular role. I am watching the show for the girls. I used to identify as a Shoshana. I'm currently a Marnie. I am very, very saddened by Jessa's arc. She makes me really sad, and I will eventually talk about that. But like there is so much meat that could have been mined there. And I feel like it is so much easier to like, obviously, when I read Lena Dunham's book Fames, like she was like, you need like humor, you need to make the show, you need to make people laugh, right? Like you need to make the show sing via humor. So I understand why it was easy to just like stick Elijah and Ray in there to like make quips and like make people laugh every like 30 seconds. The problem was that obviously real life stuff got in the way when Jessa and Shoshana disappear and we're stuck with just like mountains and mountains and mountains of Ray and Elijah screen time, watching them self-actualize, watching them become like important people. We don't see Shoshana meet her fiance. We don't see Shoshana, and obviously that was like a narrative trick, right? The entire point was that Hannah is so self-absorbed that she like doesn't care what Shoshana is up to for an entire year, right? But like it is very irritating as a fan of the show to see these characters completely disappear off the page and give the narrative prominence to male characters, especially in a series that is supposed to be about 4 female friends. I don't remember where this is from, but there's a line from something that's like, I don't find you cute and I don't find you funny and I don't find you charming, and that is how I feel about these two characters, right? It is very, very interesting to me that so much of the fandom is obsessed with these two characters when we're supposed to be watching a show about girls.